All right. So you can already, if you've seen the Q series before, you can already see a little bit of a difference in the way that the home screen looks. It's very Google-fied, as I like to say, because you've got not only a full Google search bar right here, but all of your Google apps pre-installed here on the home screen. And this is a true Google search function. So if teachers have a question, they can just tap in this box and I can search for things here. The other cool thing this does is if I'm trying to find an app on my panel, I can search for it there as well. So very similar to the Q, it has a very easy to use interface, even though you do get the free training with our team. If we never trained any of your teachers and you put this in a classroom, the first thing that they would do is hit this drive button and sign into their account. So it is pretty easy for them to navigate around. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click into my Drive app first, just so you can kind of see what it looks like integration-wise. It's very similar to looking at it on your computer. So I've got all of my files here. I have access to any shared folders that I have or shared, files, things like that. And then the Files tab will show me all of my different folders and all of my content. Your teachers probably have a bajillion Google folders there. I clicked on a link that I didn't mean to click on, so we're going to go back here. But I've got tons of screenshots here. The biggest question I get asked, do you have a question? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, to get there, what did you click on to get there? Just Google Drive or?
Yes, ma'am, just Google Drive. And then the first time they open it, it's going to prompt them immediately to sign in. It's going to give them a big square here in the center that they'll just type in their username or their email address and their password. Then it keeps them signed into this page here.
Okay.
And say that as a teacher, if I'm using Google Slides, which most of us do throughout our day, I no longer have to connect any external device or go to any website to access those slides. I would just find my slideshow in my Google Drive, double tap on it, and it's going to go ahead and open for me automatically in the Google Slides app. So because I've signed into Drive, that's automatically going to sign me into everything else. So Chrome, Slides, Docs, Sheets, all of that good stuff. And when it first opens up, it's going to give them the edit view, kind of what they're similar to seeing on the computer. So if I was to go over to a different slide here and say I have a drag and drop activity, I accidentally made this one backwards. So I'm going to move it around here. I can go ahead and drag and drop. I can edit things here. If I had a text box I needed to change, I would just tap in that text box and it would give me my keyboard. They can still fully edit things, which is really nice, but we do also have full screen presentation mode here as well. So if they are just trying to teach a lesson, they put it in presentation. You've got full screen here and you just swipe forward and backwards through the slides. The remote also goes forward and backward for them. So if they have that remote handy and they want to go forward, they can press the forward button or backward will take them back a previous slide as well. And I know you've seen the Q series before, so I do just want to point this out. This does have the same embedded annotation tools. So on my side toolbar here, this third button will pull up my whiteboarding tools and I can go ahead and write directly on my Google Slides. I know that answer is not correct if anybody's a math person. I was an English teacher, don't judge me. But I can write directly on that slide. When I'm done, I can close out. My panel is going to take a picture of whatever I wrote and I can move that directly to my Drive. Do you guys use Google Classroom as well?
No, we use Canvas.
Perfect. So if you did download the Canvas app from the Google Play Store, you can upload that picture right into Canvas as well.
Can I push apps out to these boards? Any apps that I know they're going to need?
Yes. So through our management console, you can go ahead and push apps out to them as well. What you would do is on your computer through the device management platform, you would go to the Play Store, find the app you want, copy the link, and make a package. Then you just push that package out to all of the panels that you want. And all of that Newline display management stuff, all of the training for that, that's included for you as well. We're not just going to send you the link and be like, hey, figure this out. We'll walk you through how to set all of that up too. We do also have Google Chrome here. I do like to highlight that as well, just so that you know that you have a full browser. So if I did want to go to, any websites or anything like that, I do have the full functionality of that browser here. You saw I was on a Google form. I could also go to, Amazon or whatever website I want to go to. That way, if they are trying to treat this like a standalone device, they do have access to that browser for any web-based content as well. So they do have access to that.
Okay, so
yeah,
if they're signed into Google Workspace, when they open Chrome, will they automatically be signed in?
Yes, ma'am.
To Chrome? Okay, so they'll get their extensions or bookmarks, that kind of thing.
So this version of Chrome does not support extensions currently. So if there is an extension they want to use, they would have to connect a computer for that. However, they do have access to all of their bookmarks. So if I was to go back here and go to these 3 dots, you'll have all of your bookmarks. It's just not going to be underneath the web bar. It's going to be in this bookmark section. So a little bit of a mind shift on where to find those, but they do have access to all of those bookmarks as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Of course. Now, I know it looks like there's a lot of apps on this panel right here on the home screen, but prepare to be amazed. If I swipe up from the bottom, there are even more apps here that you can choose from. So pretty much every Google app ever invented comes pre-installed, and teachers can customize what's on their home screen. So say I wanted to put my Google Calendar on my home screen, I would just press and hold, and I would just drag it over to the side, and I can place it wherever I want it on my home screen. So even though this stuff comes already in this location, if they press and hold, they can move any of those apps around as well. So super easy for them to customize based on what they need. So if you do push out certain apps, they could keep, Drive and Chrome up here, move everything else to the second page and put those apps you add on the first page for them. So it is a little bit easier for them to navigate. And then the last thing I'm going to show you here is the Google Play Store, just so you can kind of see what it looks like. Now, one of the biggest questions I get is, can we disable access to this if you don't want teachers to be able to download stuff? Absolutely, you can. So if you don't want them to be able to come in here and download things, you want to be the one pushing that out, that is absolutely something that you can turn on and off to kind of manage a little bit more strictly.
Sam, is there 15 spots then on the home screen there that you can add favorites?
You're going to make me count.
Well, it's 12 on the right side.
Yeah, and I think there's either 3 or 4 right here.
Okay.
I think it's 3, I want to say. I usually don't keep stuff over there, but I think it's 3 or 4. Actually, you know what? We're just gonna move it around just for you, Michael. There we go. So 3 spots over there.
15's number. 12. Yeah. 4 times 3 is 12 plus 3 is 15.
You see how he's making fun of me? He's just so mean to me. He knows I'm not a math person.
I was high school business and marketing, so I was just guess and check is my preferred method.
Yeah. And when you do add more apps by default, there will be a second page. So they'll go to the second page. When we fill this up, then it would create a third page for them. But they can also, of course, swipe up and access them this way. That's where that search feature comes in handy, because the more apps you get, the bigger the amount of area that you have filled. So that search bar is really handy to go in and find apps easily as well.
Can you add widgets as well does it support Android widgets?
It does. So if you press and hold, there will be a little widgets button here.
Yep.
And you can go through and add different widgets. Now, I haven't played too much with this. I need this little got it button to go away. But yes, I know our tech support team has tons of widgets added here as well. So you can see kind of some different ones to choose from down here at the bottom.
Very cool.
Yeah. It's pretty snazzy.
One question.
Yeah.
Maybe this was answered already and I just missed it, but what kind of support do you guys offer for like, say, Karen in this instance? How much and how much training?
Free and unlimited, free 99, everybody's favorite price. As much training as you want. Support is also free. Our tech support team actually works down the hall from me in our Dallas office. So if you ever have questions, you can send them to me or to them, and I can bother them as much as you need until you get an answer.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Of course, yeah. Other questions, Karen? Anything that you're curious about? I kind of showed you kind of the simple stuff, but other questions you may have.
A couple questions. So if in our case, buildings are used over the weekends for religious education, or in the evenings sometimes for religious education. Mm-hmm. So these are volunteers who come in and teach religious education to the parish kids. Yeah. So if they wanted to use that as a projection device, they can just walk up and connect their laptop via HDMI.
Yes, so you've got
They won't have
multiple
to have
ports.
a login?
Yes, that is correct. So basically what I would recommend for the first part of that is there is actually user profiles on the panel. So I would recommend having them use this guest profile, because if they do sign into anything, there's no password required to sign in, but as soon as they sign out, it deletes everything that was on there. So every sign in, every, screenshot or picture that was taken, all of that gets wiped off. But once they're in that guest profile, they can just plug in their computer to show it up here on the panel. And they do have multiple port options. So you've got 4 HDMI ports. I lied, you have 3 HDMI ports and 2 USB-C ports. There will be 1 HDMI in the front as well as 1 USB-C and 2 HDMI on the side along with that second USB-C port. So a variety of methods for them to get content up here. We do also provide all of the cables needed as well. So don't feel like you have to hunt those down. We'll send that to you with the panels too.
Right.
Is there a wireless option, Miracast?
Okay.
Or similar?
Yes, there is a wireless option. So on your home screen here, you'll see this Newline Cast button. That's going to be our wireless casting platform, and it is super easy to get connected. So if anybody is coming in that is a volunteer, like you were saying, all they would need to do, don't be like me, update when you need to update. When they do come in, all they have to do is go to this website right here, displaynote.com/join, enter the 6-digit code in their name, and they'll be able to connect up to the panel. They do not have to be on the same network. So if they're on a phone or something like that, they don't have to be on the school Wi-Fi in order to use this either.
Good.
It does also support Miracast and Google Cast.
Perfect.
Okay.
We got options for everything over here.
Yeah, and a lot of these
That's
things
great.
are the
No, that's
exact
really great
same.
that they don't have to be on the same Wi-Fi.
Yep. Yep. And these are the exact same programs and setup.
Okay.
So
And
the
then-
frame itself is the exact same that you saw last year, Karen, with the regular Q series. Newline Cast is going to be identical. So all of those things, even the classroom tools that you'll see there, there's a lot of carryover, like an iPhone update between the two series.
Okay. Can I push updates out to these?
Absolutely. We are not going to make you walk around to every panel on campus. You can send it out remotely through the management console.
Okay. So, and these are managed via the Newline management console more so than the Google admin console. Is that correct?
Yes and no. So all of your Newline specific stuff, like the firmware updates, like apps, that would go through your Newline management console. All of the Google stuff, like permissions or deleting profiles, things like that, that would be through the Google management console. And I'll send you that list of what you can manage through there as well, just so you can see.
Perfect. Okay. Is there, I'm trying to remember, last year I saw so many different boards. So forgive me if I'm not remembering which one did what.
No
Is
worries.
it possible to send like announcements, like bursts to these boards?
Yes. So there will be 2 different types of messages that you can send through Newline Display Management. Basic messages, which is just going to be a little text box that pops up on the screen here. And it has like a close button so that they can close out of it when they're done reading. You can also send what's called advanced messages. So that's going to be images, audio, or embedded videos like YouTube links, things like that. That will take over the entire screen for them. So that they don't have like an exit button. They can always get out of it by pressing like the home button on their side toolbar, but there is 2 different types of messages you can send.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. And it sounds like a good time. So Karen, I have to drop off, unfortunately, but I will be at the McCall conference in, I think, about 10 days time with a Q Pro series. So
Yep.
if you're making it out to that show
Great.
at all, look for the
I am.
Newline booth, and I will be there for the full time, and we'd be happy to answer any follow-up questions, or again, we'll have one that you can put your hands on there.
Perfect. I'll look for you there.
Excellent. All right, you're in good hands with the girls, so they'll take good care of you.
Thank you.
Other
Thanks.
questions we can answer for you.
Yeah, I'm making a few notes here.
No worries.
I'm so glad I'm going to be able to refer back to this recording though.
It makes everything
I'm
easier.
trying to think. Yeah, we did have our teachers demo an interactive whiteboard, and so they could get a feel for what the options are. So basically, they're going to sign into this as opposed to connecting their laptop to project to it, correct? So it's kind of a different way of thinking about it.
Yeah, and you can go either way. If they want to plug in, they always have that option. If they want to just use this as a standalone
Sure.
device, they have that choice as well.
Okay, it's good to have that flexibility.
Yes.
That's really all the questions I can think of. I was, more concerned about management and what like a guest would do, that kind of thing.
Speaking of guests,
My questions I feel like were answered last year with the other board.
Perfect.
yeah, speaking of guests, and sorry if you already know the answer to this, Karen, but so some of these are in more public spaces, like libraries. So if I go in and I sign in with my Google account to one of these displays and I walk away from that without signing out, is there an automatic sign out option or?
Good question.
That is one thing I'm not 100% sure of, if that's a feature within the Google console. The panel itself doesn't force a sign out, but that's one of the things that we're kind of looking into on the Google management side, because I think in Google you can force a timeout after a certain amount of time. So let me look into that with our tech team before I give you an answer, and I'll put that in my follow-up email for you to see as well.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
so shutting down the board isn't going to log somebody out.
Right. So once they sign into their Google content, they stay signed in until they sign out.
Okay.
So one thing that I always let people know is we can train them however way or whatever way you would like. If you want them to sign out at the end of every day, we can train them that way. And the signing out is super easy. So they would just go into Drive, tap on their little account. So mine's my Bitmoji, theirs would be their picture or the first letter of their name. Once I tap on that, when I go to manage accounts on this device, it'll pop up where all of my accounts are. I would just click on my account and hit remove. So it is very easy for them to sign out if you do want them to sign out at the end of every day. If they do turn the panel off, when it turns back on, they do have to enter a passcode to get back into that home screen there. So it is password protected. So even though they're still signed in, there is a password to get to that as well.
Good.
So a couple different options, just depending on what works best for you guys.
So when that comes back up and it asks me to enter in that passcode, do I get the option of just using that panel as a guest also?
Yeah, so when you go to the sign-in screen, it'll have like a sign-in page, but in the top right corner, it'll have this little users icon. So if you wanted to just go into a guest account, you would click that little users button and click guest versus signing into the actual profile.
Got it. Okay, cool.
And I'll show you guys just what this looks like. Yeah, go ahead.
If the board stays on, say they just leave it on, they're not supposed to, but say they do, will it time out and require a password at any point? Or
So it
go to
doesn't-
sleep, so to speak?
You can set a sleep time. You can also set an automatic power on and off time. So that way they never forget to turn it off. It turns itself off. So that will be a very handy one. You can also set a sleep time. So by default, it's 30 minutes. So after 30 minutes of inactivity, the panel goes to sleep. You can make it longer than that, shorter than that, whichever you prefer. But this is the guest profile here. So if I was to tap on Drive, this will show you what it looks like for a guest. It's not going to have any of my account information. It'll take me to the sign-in page here. So it's going to say there's no account joined, and it'll give me my little sign-in window. So as a guest, it is a blank slate. And then when I, as a guest, am done, I'm going to go back out of here just so I can show you. There's my sign-in. I'll swipe down, and I will click back to the user profile. If I click the right button, here we go. And I'm going to switch back. So it'll say exit guest. When I hit exit guest, it will delete all of the information. So when I click exit, it'll switch back to my owner profile or my default profile. So it is nice to know that they can use that guest profile, especially if you have visitors coming in and volunteers. Now I'm back on my Drive with my different looking home screen, and I've got access to all my content there.
Cool.
Other questions, guys?
None from my side.
No, I want one of these for my house now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty snazzy, right?
It sure is. All right. Yeah, I don't have any other questions either.
And if you do think of anything, I'll put both Alexis and myself on the follow-up as well as Michael. So if you do think of anything, shoot us an email, or you'll see Michael at McCool in a couple weeks. So you can ask him any questions then too, and he can show you hands-on on the panel.
Perfect. Thank you.
And Karen, just for your reference, we've basically worked everything up for what you requested. So there's just a few things we need to button up, and we can send over all the proposal for everything.
Okay, sounds great.
Good.
Well, thank you so much for your time, guys. We really appreciate you hopping on. And if there's anything we can do to help, just let us know.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
Sam.
Thanks
Thanks,
for your
Alexis.
time. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Alexis.
Bye, guys.
Bye.